Hi, I'm Laura Ramus, physical therapist and certified athletic trainer with the DMC Sports Performance Academy here at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan to talk to you about running shoes. As a runner, there's a big choice of shoes to select from, so where do you start? Well, to begin with, you should choose a shoe based on the type of foot that you have, whether you're high arch, whether you're flat-footed, or whether you have a normal foot. And so when you look at the shoe selection, they build shoes off of different lasts, and they build different types of shoes. Today's shoe selection goes from something as small as basically running barefoot or wearing the 5-finger shoe, and this is just like wearing bare feet, and has very little to no support at all, to all the way down the spectrum to a motion control shoe that has a real thick sole and a lot of support on the inside part of the foot to control pronation. Now, in between these two ends of the spectrum are where the majority of runners should select their shoes from. We have the new ones out, which are the minimalists, which again give you support, more support than barefoot running, but don't give as much control as some of our others. And then we have the shoe here that gives stability but doesn't give motion control. So this is the spectrum from little control, running barefoot, all the way to a lot of motion control. And most of us will choose somewhere in this middle range. So where do we start? If you have a high arched foot, your foot is shaped like a kidney bean. It is a curved last. So when we look at the shoes that manufacturers make, they make them off of 3 lasts. The first looks like a curved last. When we look at the bottom of the shoe and draw a straight line up this shoe, a lot more of the inside or the big toe side of the shoe is on the inside of the foot. This is more of a curved type of foot position. This is the type of shoe that a high arched foot would fit into and feel comfortable with. If someone with a flat foot tried to put their foot in this shoe, they'd feel uncomfortable. They'd probably develop a blister in this shoe. If you have a normal foot, your foot would go in what we call just a regular last or a curved last, not a full curved last, just a semi-curved. So when we look at the bottom of this shoe, it still shows some curvature, but much, much less curvature than this one. So this would be a semi-curved, and this would be the majority of the feet that are out there running that would fit into this type of last. Finally is that flat-footed person. That flat-footed person, their foot when it hits the ground is completely flat in a straight position. And so the straight-lasted shoe is built for that flat-footed position. So when we draw that straight line up this shoe, you'll see equal sides of the big toe to the little toe side of the shoe. And that's the type of shoe that a person with a flat foot will choose. If you don't know what kind of foot you have, then you need to go to your running store in your neighborhood and have them look at your foot, and also come to the DMC Sports Performance Academy or the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan and help us look at your feet and choose that right shoe for you. Now, then the second thing you're going to look for is stability in the shoe. How much motion control is in the shoe? Well, what we know is we don't need to put a lot of motion control in the shoe, but we still need to give you some stability. Again, the minimalist shoe, when you're running and take a step, the part of the shoe that hits the ground is your forefoot. And when your foot bends, it bends at the widest part of our toe box or right across your big toe. That's why great toe extension is so important in runners. This is where the shoe should run or bend when you are running. So when you grab that shoe and you bend it, that's where its normal flex point should be. You should have some stability from the rear foot to that forefoot position. And even in this minimalist shoe now, it gives us stability. It's flexible in here, but it still gives us stability. And so does this minimalist shoe. Natural bend point is right across, right about where the shoelaces start, the widest part of the toe box. As opposed to something like this barefoot runner really doesn't give you any of that support. And that's why this is not a real great shoe for someone who has motion control issues or needs more support. And then if you go down the line, you can see they become a little more rigid, but they're still bending in that right point. And then the final part that we look for in a running shoe is what happens in that rear foot. If you control that calcaneus, the back part of the heel, you can control the motion of the entire foot. And so when we look at the back of the shoe, what we'll do is press down on the back of the shoe. The back of the shoe should not collapse. It should be rigid like this and give you stability. If the back of the shoe collapses down, it's probably not, it's not going to give you much motion control back here at the heel. So you should be cautious with this shoe if you have any foot problems. Or it's also an indicator for caves in like this that that shoe might be wearing out. Maybe back when you first bought it, it had good stability and you could not press down through here, but maybe it's worn out at this point. That's also the indicator for the flex test that we showed earlier. if the flex, if it bent really in the correct shoebox position when you first got that shoe, and now it's starting to wear back and it's flexing back further and further into the arch, then that's also a good indication that shoe might be wearing out. So next time you go pick your shoe out, recognize what type of foot you have and match your foot type up to the shoe, and you'll have a much safer run and effective run. I'm Ramus of the DMC Sports Performance Academy here at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan.